This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Miles Edgeworth, guilty. The accused will surrender to the court immediately to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. The court is adjourned.
Wait! Who was that just now? Me! Huh? What? Larry?
What are you doing here?
Listen, you gotta listen to me. I was there in the park the night of the murder. I wasn't sure about it until just yesterday, but today I remembered it.
Remembered what?
The gunshot. I heard it too.
Order. Objection.
What is the meaning of this? The verdict has been decided. I call for adjournment.
One moment, Mr. Von Karma. So, you say you heard the gunshot?
Yeah, I did. A gunshot that night. I was sitting here in the audience listening to the testimony. Then I realized something he said was different from what I remember. Anyhow, I can't just sit here and let you call Edgy a murderer. It's just not right. I'll testify. Let me testify.
Order! Order! Well, this is the first time something has happened like this in my court. I'm not quite sure how to proceed.
Judge, you've already given your decision. The trial is over.
Nick, Tanner, this is it. Larry's given us one final chance at this.
She's right. If only it wasn't Larry. He could make things even worse.
Mr. Edgeworth has just been declared guilty, guys. It doesn't get any worse.
You're right. Okay. Your Honor, if there is another witness, it is our duty to hear him speak. Right here, right now. A waste of time. The verdict cannot be overturned.
Allow me to speak my opinion. In all court proceedings, it is our duty to prevent an inaccurate verdict. In order to make sure no mistakes have been made, every witness should be heard.
What is this?
I withdraw my previous verdict of guilty. Mr. Von Karma, I order you to call this new witness to testify. Now!
What?
The court will adjourn for a 5-minute recess. After that, we will hear this new witness. Court is adjourned.
Phew! That was too close.
Keith? Dad? Polly? Is there something you want to talk to me about, Mr. Wright? What did I miss from yesterday?
Oh, Tanner, yeah, we'll talk about it later. I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Sorry to keep you on the edge of your seat like that, Edgeworth.
Ha! You made him funny.
Tanner? I've seen worse.
Yeah, right, Edgeworth. You're sweating bullets.
I just wonder what Larry plans to say in there.
Larry was at the lake that night?
Yes. He said he went looking for the steel samurai balloon that flew into the lake.
Oh, yeah.
I best keep close attention to what they're saying. It might win us the trial.
And he found the balloon in the air tank that night?
Yeah. Hey, Edgeworth.
Uh-huh. You say something, right?
Yeah, a lot of things. You seem out of it. What's wrong?
It's nothing.
Mr. Edgeworth? There's something I've been meaning to ask you.
What's that?
Why are your fingerprints on the murder weapon?
Oh. When he fell into the lake, I went into a daze. I couldn't understand what had happened. I couldn't think straight. Then I saw the pistol lying on the floor of the boat in front of me. I picked it up without thinking. I didn't have a reason, really.
I see.
Right. Yeah? This might be our chance. Our chance? Von Karma has only ever run perfect trials. Perfect trials? Perfectly prepared witnesses, perfectly prepared evidence. That's the secret to his success. This is the first time he's ever had to deal with something unexpected. He has let someone he hasn't even talked to testify before the court. And that someone is Larry. What are you getting at? It's likely his testimony will be full of holes, right?
That's right, Nick. No 10-minute trial this time. We'll milk this one for all it's worth.
Hey, it was 15 minutes. 15! Everything depends on Larry now.
Court is now back in session. Witness, please testify to the court about everything that you saw on the night of December 24th.
Right. Leave it to me. That night I was out in a boat on the lake. I was looking for something and I, found it. So I quietly slipped the boat back at the rental shop dock. Then, just as I was thinking about going home, I heard this bang. I looked out over the lake, but I didn't notice the boat. So, after I heard that single gunshot, I went home.
That was an unusually vague testimony, even for this court. In any matter, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Sup, boss? It's Larry. I have no idea what he's going to say if I press him. I'm a little scared.
Well, we've come this far. There's no way to go but forward, Nick.
Something wrong, Mr. Wright?
There were so many things wrong, I don't know where to begin.
Ah.
No worries, Mr. Wright. I think I know where to start. Okay, first of all, Mr. Butts, what time was it? Oh, it was after 11 when I went out in the boat. By that time, everyone had gone home for the night. So I waited until the coast was clear, so to speak. You've also mentioned in your testimony that you were looking for something? Yeah.
Mr. Butts, what was it you were looking for?
Objection! What the witness was looking for is irrelevant. Most likely he was hunting for this Gordy.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that was the truth.
This is all irrelevant. Let's get it over with.
Around what time was it when you
quietly slipped the boat back in at the rental shop dock. Well, let's see. I figure I was out searching for about an hour. I guess it was around 12. Yeah.
You're not sure?
Hey, don't give me that face! I'm not some sort of human sundial, okay?
People use watches these days, Larry. Where did the banging sound come from? Yeah, well, I wasn't too sure about that. I looked around, you know.
Did you look at the lake?
Yeah, I looked. You also claim that you looked over the lake, but you didn't notice the boat. Yeah, sums it up. Wasn't there a boat on the lake?
Well, Mr. Butts?
Whoa! Everybody just calm down, okay? I mean, it was real foggy that night. I'm not sure whether there was a boat out there or not. Oh, okay, no problem. That's just the most important part of this case. So you only heard one bang, correct? Yeah.
Well, guys,
It was a pretty wishy-washy testimony, wasn't it? I guess we should just start working on the contradictions.
I'm sorry. I wish I could be more helpful. Wish I could call my sister.
You don't have to worry about that part, Maya. We're gonna get this in the bag. Wait a sec, Larry. What? You only heard one bang? Are you sure? That's what I said. But Miss Lotta Hart testified yesterday that she heard 2 bangs. And the old man just now said the same thing. They both heard 2 gunshots that night. Huh? Were you even listening? Were you paying attention at all to what they said?
Yo, Tanner, please.
Huh?
You know, something's been bothering me. I'm a witness, see? I'm like a customer here. So you gotta treat me nice and stuff, okay?
Nuh-uh, you're not pulling that Karen shit on me.
Mr. Butts?
What?
You only heard 1 gunshot. Are you sure?
To tell you the truth, I'm not really sure.
Not sure? How could you not be sure?
Yeah, well, I might have missed the other gunshot. I was, listening to something else.
Something else?
My radio, dude! I was on my headphones.
What?
Boo! Order! Order!
This
Order
is
in the
absolute
court.
boo!
And stop that booing! Mr. Butts, you are listening to a radio on your headphones?
Yeah? So what? Is that a crime? I listen to my radio. Everybody listens to the radio. What's the big deal?
Mr. Von Karma? Your opinions?
Waste of time. I do not accept this witness, nor his shoddy testimony.
Well, Mr. Wright, should he continue the testimony?
Your Honor, please allow the witness to continue his testimony.
Bah! Nothing is more pitiful than a lawyer who doesn't know when he's lost.
Very well. Mr. Butts, please give your testimony, and be sure to include details like your radio.
Right. Leave it to me.
I wouldn't if there were any other way out of this. Believe me.
It's lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. That's why I was listening to an all requests show on the radio. See? I was listening to it real booming loud like. But I'm sure I heard that gunshot. I remember exactly what the DJ was saying when I heard it too.
You were listening to your radio? At high volume?
Yeah? What's the big problem? Can't a man listen to his radio in peace? Isn't this a free country?
I truly believe Larry has no idea what the problem here is. Judge, can you believe a word this witness says? What he heard was probably nothing more than a drumbeat from the radio.
True enough, it is difficult to believe this testimony.
Objection! Your Honor, the witness said he remembers exactly what the DJ said when he heard the gunshot.
Excuse me? DJ?
An announcer. The guy who says things on the radio. Anyway, what this means is when he heard the sound, no music was playing. The DJ only talks between songs, so he could have heard the gunshot from the lake. I'd like to cross-examine the witness, Your Honor.
Very well then, Mr. Wright.
I can't believe I'm continuing this charade. What did the DJ say?
Objection! Mr. White, please cease these pointless questions. What possible good could knowing what a radio DJ said to us?
Indeed, Mr. Von Karma does have a point. I'll allow the question only if you see some reason why we should care.
We should care, Your Honor. Of course we should.
Why?
Well, how do you know if we don't ask,
Fine, very well. Mr. Butts, please testify to the court. What was the radio announcer saying when you heard the gunshot?
Just when she said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," I heard the gunshot.
Are you sure?
Course I am. She had this real sexy voice.
Well, that helps out a whole lot. What are we gonna do now, Mr. Wright? Larry, are you absolutely sure what you're saying is correct?
Huh? What's with the face? You look scary, dude. Hey, if you're trying to scare me, you better know I don't scare that easily.
Is something the matter, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor, did you hear what the witness just said? The DJ said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," when he heard the gunshot.
Indeed. And?
Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. Do you realize what this means? When he heard the gunshot, it was still Christmas Eve.
That would seem to be the case, yes.
But this contradicts the two testimonies we have heard so far, Your Honor. Both Miss Hart and the old man said it was after midnight when they heard the shots. In other words, when they heard the gunshots, it was already Christmas. This is a clear contradiction, Your Honor.
Order! Order! What does this mean? The two prior witnesses heard gunshots after midnight. However, this witness says he heard a gunshot before midnight.
Judge, the answer is simple. The current witness is plainly mistaken. Just look at him. Suspicious.
What?
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think about Mr. Butts' claim he heard the gunshot before midnight?
Larry is not mistaken, Your Honor. He heard that gunshot before midnight.
Intriguing. I'm assuming you have evidence for this wild claim. Show me evidence there was a gunshot before midnight.
Look at this photograph. This was taken by our witness yesterday, Miss Lotta Hart, with her automatic camera. The timestamp on the photo reads December 24th, 11:50 p.m.
Oh, yeah? But there's nothing on the lake in this picture.
Your Honor, the real issue here is not why nothing is shown on this photograph. It is why this photograph exists at all.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, this photograph was taken by an automatic camera. That camera was set to go off in response to loud noises.
Aha!
Correct. There was a loud noise on the lake at 11:50 p.m. That is why this photograph was taken. In other words, when Larry heard that gunshot, it was most definitely Christmas Eve.
Indeed, it would seem that is the case. Then, where does that leave us? Miss Hart testified that she heard the gunshots after midnight. Are you claiming she was mistaken?
Not at all, Your Honor. It is a fact that the camera also triggered at 15 minutes after midnight. Your Honor, that night there were 2 sets of gunshots with a 25-minute pause between them.
Why would this be?
Don't be fooled, Judge. That camera was set to respond to loud noises.
Yes?
There is no proof that the loud noise at 11:50 was a gunshot. Why, the witness could have sneezed, triggering the camera.
Hey! My nose was clear that night, man. Clear!
Well, Mr. Wright, there is no turning back now. Can you prove that the loud noise at 11 p.m. was indeed a gunshot? Please, show the court evidence if you have any.
This is my evidence.
The murder weapon?
Something about this pistol was bothering me, Your Honor. Both the witnesses who testified yesterday heard 2 gunshots. However, the murder weapon was fired 3 times. When, then, was the last shot fired? Only now have I realized the truth. That 3rd shot was the shot Larry heard just before midnight.
That would make sense of the evidence we've seen so far. However, this leaves me wondering exactly what did happen that night on the lake.
Exactly. If this is true, there were 2 sets of gunshots separated by 25 minutes. One at 11:50, another at 15 minutes after midnight. Why, I ask you, why?
Your Honor,
Yes, Mr. Banana?
the testimony just now has cleared up this entire case.
What do you mean, Mr. Banana?
So, you finally realized the truth? There can be no other murderer here than Miles Edgeworth himself.
Wrong, Von Karma. A man was shot that night.
but it wasn't Edgeworth who did the shooting.
Listen, Rookie. Take a deep breath and consider the facts. At the time of the murder, one boat was on that lake. This was shown by the witness's photographs. The defendant, Miles Edgeworth, and the victim, Robert Hammond, were on that boat. There was a gunshot fired on that boat, and Robert Hammond fell into the lake. The distance of the shooting was 1 meter. It couldn't have been suicide. Well, the guilty party has to be the other man on that boat.
I admit, it is hard to imagine any other possibility.
Yes, but this assumes that the victim was shot at 15 minutes after midnight.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Banana? We have photographic evidence of the time of the shooting. The timestamp on the photo says 15 minutes.
But Larry heard a gunshot 25 minutes before that. Robert Hammond was killed then, 25 minutes before the shot on the lake.
Mr. Banana, are you quite mad? Explain who this is sitting on the boat.
Of course, it was Edgeworth and the murderer. After the murderer killed Robert Hammond at 11:50, he assumed the disguise of Mr. Hammond and met Edgeworth.
What? Are you serious?
Yes. Edgeworth won't tell us why he went to the lake that night. However, I have a hunch. That night, Robert Hammond called Edgeworth to the lake. Now, Edgeworth didn't know Robert Hammond's face that well. That's why he didn't suspect anything when the murderer took Robert Hammond's place.
I'm not sure what to make of any of this.
Ludicrous!
Mr. Banana, tell us the name of the murderer then.
The murderer's name? Right. Well, it's... Actually, I don't know the murderer's name.
You don't know?
Bah! Again you waste my time.
I don't know because he never told us.
Huh?
The murderer is the caretaker of the boat shop, that old man. At 11:50, he was the one who killed Robert Hammond.
The caretaker at the boat shop? Where did he do this? There weren't any boats on the lake then.
Why would he have to go all the way out on the lake just to shoot someone? May I suggest that the real scene of this crime was not in a boat?
What? Well then, where did the murder take place?
Here, of course, the boat shop where he lives. That way, he could meet with the victim without anyone seeing.
Do you have proof that the boat shop was the scene of the crime?
Recall Larry's testimony, if you will. That night, he was out on the lake in a boat searching for something. He finds it and returns the boat. Then, just as he's starting to head for home, he hears a gunshot. He heard a gunshot, Your Honor. Even though he was wearing headphones at that time. In other words, the gunshot was very, very close by. And where would that be if he had just returned that boat?
The boat shop!
Mr. Banana, what happened that night on Gourd Lake? Please tell the court from the beginning.
Yes, Your Honor. That night, the caretaker of the boat shop called Robert Hammond to his shop. This was around 11:50. That was when the gunshot that Harry heard was fired. After that, the caretaker put on Robert Hammond's coat. He became Robert Hammond. Then, he got in the boat with Edgeworth and went out into the middle of the lake.
Then who fired the pistol on the boat, Mr. Banana?
Of course it was the murderer who shot the pistol. He shot twice. Both missed Edgeworth on purpose.
Wait a minute.
Yes?
Why would he shoot twice if he didn't mean to hit anyone?
Know this, Mr. Banana. The moment you run out of exclamations is the moment you lose. Tell us why the murderer had to fire twice.
I believe he shot twice to create a witness, Your Honor.
Create a witness?
The murderer lifts his pistol and fires one shot. That ensures that anyone who heard the shot would look at the lake. Indeed, Miss Hart did exactly that after hearing the first gunshot. Next, the murderer waits a bit and fires again. Then, the murderer jumps from the boat himself, leaving the pistol in the boat behind him.
I see. To someone looking from the edge of the lake, it would appear that one of the men on the boat had shot the other.
The murderer didn't know about the automatic camera, of course. That's why he shot twice, to draw attention to the boat. Once you realize that everything else falls into place, the boat shop caretaker swam back to his shop. Then he put Mr. Hammond's wet coat back on the body and threw the body into the lake. This is what happened, Your Honor. These are the events that transpired that night on Gourd Lake.
Bailiff, bring out the witness from before. The boat shop caretaker, quickly! Very well. While we are waiting for the caretaker, I would like to ask the defendant, Miles Edgeworth, a few questions. Mr. Edgeworth, please take the stand. Mr. Edgeworth, you heard what the defense has said?
Yes.
Well, why did you go to the lake that night?
What Wright and Banana has said was mostly correct. Astonishingly so, actually. Yes. Several days ago, I received a letter. The letter was signed Robert Hammond. He asked me to come to the boat shop by the lake at midnight on Christmas Eve. He said he had something very important to discuss with me.
Something important?
I'm sorry. I can't say what it was.
Your Honor, sir! Bailiff, we are conducting a trial here. I ask that you remain quiet.
The witness has disappeared. He isn't at the boat shop either.
What?
What should I do?
Find him, quickly! We cannot allow him to get away! Von Karma, your witness has disappeared!
A search warrant has already been issued.
It goes without saying that I cannot declare a verdict under these circumstances. I will extend the trial until tomorrow, the final day allowed.
I request that the police department utilize all its forces to find that witness. Am I understood? One more thing. Just who is that boat shop caretaker? I think his identity has become very important to this trial. I want him, and I want to know who he is. Very well. Court is adjourned.